Everyone says love has its place, and that place comes with rules. But we know the truth. Some of the strongest love is born where it isn't supposed to exist. This is the story of Caleb Turner and Anna Reed, where loss became courage and scars turned into strength. Out on the wide Wyoming plains, it all began with something small, a quiet meal shared at the same table. Before we kick off this adventure, don't forget to hit like on the video and let us know in the comments where you're watching from. Hell. That twister came down hard on a dusty Tuesday, mean and sudden. The air carried that sharp iron bite that always comes right before the rain breaks loose. I can still see her clear as day standing in the wreckage of my barn. Anna Reed, dark hair whipping wild in the screaming wind dress torn and smeared with red mud. She was shouting orders at the Turner ranch hands, her voice cutting clean through the chaos. Men twice her size jumped when she spoke, moving fast like they'd been taking direction from her all their lives. Blood ran warm down my side, where a busted beam had torn into my shoulder, soaking my shirt, but I barely felt it. I couldn't take my eyes off her. Pain didn't stand a chance against that sight. 4 months earlier, she'd been nothing but the quiet help. Kept her head down, stepped soft, tried to disappear into corners like she didn't deserve the space she took up. Now damn, she was fire. Alive. And I was staring down the truth that I might lose her because every narrow-minded soul in this cursed territory figured a cattleman like me had no business falling for a foreign girl who still fought the English language. They never understood. Sometimes a man has to plant his boots and claim what the whole world says is off-limits. Spring came dragging its heels into Powder River Valley that year. It was 1889. And frost still clung stubborn to the ground well into May. I'd caught myself watching Anna out back, pinning laundry to the line, her name Polish as all get out, twisting my tongue every time I thought it. She moved like she was apologizing for the dirt beneath her boots. Shoulders hunched against the prairie wind, eyes fixed low. Ruth Turner had been buried 4 years by then. 4 long years of cold meals scraped from tin plates, talking to my old bay horse, like he might answer. At 52, I'd resigned myself to ending the same way I'd been living alone with nothing but coyotes to sing over my bones. Anna cooked meals that tasted like mercy itself, but she scrubbed floors as if she meant to erase every sign she'd ever been there. Then one night near midnight, lightning split the sky wide open. I found her in the kitchen floor, dusting her hair, like fresh snow tears cutting pale lines down her face as thunder shook the walls. She was kneading dough like her life depended on it. "Can't sleep," I muttered from the doorway, my voice rough with the hour. She jumped, startled, rolling pin wobbling in her hands. "Sorry, sir. I bake bread for tomorrow." The storm rattled on. She searched for words, brow furrowed. "Storm... It makes me think of the fire. Chicago. When my family..." Her voice faltered. I'd lived more than 5 decades, but I'd never known grief could sound so damn beautiful wrapped in an accent. Her sorrow reached across that room and took hold of my chest. Ruth used to bake on sleepless nights, too. I know I said my throat tightening, surprised my voice held. Anna's hands stilled in the dough. "Your bread's good," I added. "Even if it's awful sometimes." A small, uncertain smile touched her lips, the first I'd seen in months. Something shifted right there in that dim kitchen. Not love, not yet. Just an understanding. 2 souls haunted by the past, still standing. Come morning, a fresh apple pie sat on the table, steam rising, crust golden and cracked just right. One bite in, and it felt like a weight lifting, like maybe this old house wasn't a tomb after all. Spring burned its way into summer. I started asking Anna to eat with me at the table instead of alone in the kitchen. She'd sit across from me, hands folded tight, choosing her English slow and careful, Every word landed heavy like a quiet prayer. "Tell me about where you came from," I'd say, filling her cup. "It was green," she'd answer softly. "But the sky, small. Here the sky is big. Makes me think maybe I can be more. And damn if that didn't settle somewhere deep in my bones." "Tell me about Poland," I'd ask, gruff as ever, sloshing coffee into her cup, while steam curled between us. "It was beautiful," Anna Reed would say softly, her gaze drifting somewhere far past the walls, like she'd stepped back into it. "Green, like this valley. But the sky small." She'd pause, searching for the words. "Back there, sky feels close. Here." She gestured toward the window where the prairie stretched forever until it slammed into the teeth of the mountains. "Here the sky is wide. Makes me think maybe I can be more than I was." One evening her fingers brushed mine as she topped off my coffee. Barely anything, just skin on skin, but she lingered a heartbeat too long, and I didn't pretend I hadn't felt the jolt. By July, a fever got its hooks into me. Nothing deadly, just a mean, stubborn sickness that dug into my chest and refused to budge. I burned and hacked, laid up useless. Anna hovered like I was already halfway to the grave. Hot soup every few hours, no matter the time. She read aloud from old Sheridan papers, her accent turning even dry notices into something gentle, pressing cool cloths to my forehead, with hands that trembled despite herself. The third night, soaked in sweat and drifting in and out, I caught her hand. Don't go," I croaked, unsure if I was calling for her or Ruth Turner's ghost. "I stay," she whispered, her cool palm settling against my cheek. "I stay until you are better. Not just until I healed." I held her eyes in the flickering lamplight, knowing full well what I was about to break open. "Anna, stay. For good. Don't leave. I need you here." She froze, time stretching thin. Then my name slipped from her lips for the first time, wrapped in that accent, soft as a promise, said under church rafters. The fever broke soon after, and nothing stayed the same. Me, big man in a small place. And Anna Reed no longer just the hired help. The Sheridan townfolk decided some lines weren't meant to be crossed. They were about to be proven wrong. Talk spread faster than wildfire in August heat. At the general store, voices dropped dead when we walked in. Women whispered behind gloved hands. Men stared with that mix of curiosity and hunger that made my fists itch. I watched Anna's smile thin each time we pretended nothing was happening. One evening on the porch, sunset bleeding purple and gold across the peaks, I asked it too sharp, "You ashamed of me, never?" She said quick and fierce. "But this land's got rules," I went on, "about who belongs with who, about who gets to love who." Her accent thickened with anger, and damned if it didn't make her even more striking. I reached for her hand. She pulled back. "In Poland," she said, "my father was a blacksmith. Poor, always covered in soot. But he loved my mother. She was baker's daughter. People told her mother she married beneath herself." Anna's jaw set that stubborn look I'd come to recognize. But they were happy. For a long time. 40 years. Until my mother died. My father cried at her grave. "That is love," she said quietly. "Not gossip, not whispers. This isn't Poland," I told her. "No." Her smile flashed sharp and unyielding. "This is Wyoming, a free country. Or maybe that was just another story folks liked to tell themselves. Either way, come August, I walked into that barn dance with Anna on my arm, daring the world to say otherwise. She wore a deep green dress that caught the lamplight and set her skin glowing like warm honey. I stood beside her in my stiff Sunday suit, smelling faintly of mothballs pulled from a cedar chest. The fiddles screeched to a stop. Conversation died mid-breath. Every head turned our way, as if we'd burst in naked as the day we were born. Her fingers tightened around my arm, but her chin stayed lifted. Proud, unashamed. God help me, she was stunning. I tipped my head easy and drawled, steady as creek water. Fine night for a dance, ain't it? The music stumbled back to life, though the poison was already loose in the room. All evening I kept watch as men drifted toward Anna Reed, asking for a turn. Some kept it decent. Others didn't bother hiding the look in their eyes, the kind that figured any woman willing to stand with me was open season. Clay Rourke, owner of the biggest spread next to mine, pulled her in too tight during a waltz. His hands wandered where they damn well shouldn't have. Blood thundered in my ears, the room going hot at the edges. That's far enough, Clay. I raised my voice over the crowd, sharp as a honed blade. Rourke flashed a crooked grin. Just being neighborly with your housekeeper. That word hung there. Heavy. Mean. The truth nobody wanted to say out loud. Anna tore herself free, her face blazing with hurt and anger. I need air, she said, already slipping away. I followed, catching up near the corral. She gripped the rail so hard her knuckles went white. The moon hung low and silver, bright enough to show the tears she brushed aside. They're right, she said without turning. I am just the help. You're a big ranch man. Different worlds. I was foolish to think we could share one. I stepped in, close breathing in the faint lavender of her soap, feeling heat roll off her like banked coals. Look at me, Anna. She turned. The shine in her eyes near broke me. You're not the housekeeper, I said, voice low and certain. You're the woman I've fallen hard for. If that makes me a fool, I've been one before. Their talk, dust. Yours is the only voice that matters. She searched my face under that moon, looking for doubt. I think you are the best man I have ever known. I cupped her cheek, wiped a tear with my thumb. And you're the finest woman I've ever laid eyes on. When we kissed, the world fell away, the salt sweet of her mouth, the warmth of her skin, my name leaving her lips like a quiet vow. She leaned into me, every line of her fitting close, and for a moment all the rules vanished. But shadows don't disappear that easy. People have a way of forcing their laws down your throat. Trouble came riding soon enough, 7 men crowding my yard. Edgar Mills' slick banker Silas Crow, Judge Walter Knox, and 4 other well-heeled members of the Sheridan townfolk, sitting their horses like a jury ready to hang a man. Gentlemen, I said, souring the word. Bit early for social calls, ain't it? We're concerned about standards, Mills replied, smiling thin. About appearances in a respectable community. Standards, I took a slow drink of coffee. That what we're calling it now, Wyoming's pushing for statehood, Judge Knox puffed out. We can't afford certain improprieties. We've got to look respectable for the Union Judge, Walter Knox had said. Can't afford scandals. Scandals like what I cut in. A man courting a woman on his own land. Silas Crow leaned forward in his saddle leather, creaking. We're concerned about your standing, Caleb. And ours by extension. That girl is beneath you, beneath all of us. A servant, for God's sake. My hand stopped halfway to my mouth. When I spoke, my voice came out low and dangerous. You boys have 10 heartbeats to get off my land before I forget my church manners altogether. They rode off, but the warning stayed behind like smoke in still air. Behave or pay. That night, Anna Reed stood in the doorway of my study. I sat staring into a glass of whiskey like it might offer answers. I heard them, she said quietly. Anna, I'm leaving. The words hit me square in the chest. At dawn, you'll find a proper wife, from proper people, build a proper life. Her voice didn't shake, but tears tracked down her cheeks, catching the lamplight. I was on my feet so fast the chair crashed back. Like hell you are. They'll burn you out, she said. Ruined. They can go straight to hell. I crossed the room and gripped her shoulders. She needed to understand. You think I give a damn about those snakes, about this territory's opinion? You should, she whispered. Wyoming is your home. These people, your world. No, I shook my head, certain to the bone. You're my world now. My anchor. They can take the ranch, the cattle, my name, fine. But they don't touch you. Not while I'm breathing. She looked up at me, hope and fear tangled together. You mean that I didn't answer? I kissed her instead, hard starving, pouring 4 years of loneliness into her mouth. She melted against me, fingers, fisting my shirt, fitting into me like she always had. I lifted her legs, locking around my waist as I carried her down the hall. Her lips burned a trail along my neck, my name breaking from her in that accent that undid me. Under the lamplight, she looked like gold. My hands shook as I worked her dress free, 52 years old and feeling like a green boy. The fabric slid to the floor. She stood there in nothing but her shift, fearless, beautiful enough to ache. I kissed along her collarbone, tasting salt and skin. Anna, I breathed. My Anna. Her hands were at my buttons when the night shattered wood, cracking, cattle bawling, men shouting, and beneath it all the hungry roar of fire. We froze, half undressed, dread hitting us both at once. Fire, Anna whispered. I grabbed the rifle and ran to the window. Flames licked the dark, bright and vicious. They'd torched my best Hereford pen. The message couldn't have been clearer. Send the girl away or lose everything. We fought the fire until dawn, but my prize bull lay blackened and dead. 5 years' wages gone. A note was nailed to the gate with a spike. Send the girl away. Anna stood in the ashes, face pale with shock and guilt. This is my fault. No, I said, steel in my voice. It isn't. My words came out hard as forged iron. This is cowards' work, slinking around in the dark with torches. 3 miles down the trail, I reined up and jumped down, pulling her into my arms without a word. She fought me at first, breathing hard. Let them come. I held her tighter. Anna, listen to me. You're everything I said. The part that matters. The reason a man gets up and keeps going. One bull, I snorted. That's nothing. Just shadows doing what shadows do. It doesn't matter. You do. Only you. She sagged against me, sobs tearing out of her like something breaking loose. If they hurt you, if I lose you like the others, I tipped her chin up, made her meet my eyes. Then we face it together, side by side. We've got this, I said. I'm not letting you go. Not today. Not tomorrow. 2 weeks later, the twister came. Anna was hanging laundry when she saw it charging across the flats, chewing up fence and earth. She shouted for the Turner ranch hands to drive the horses to safety, then ran for the barn where I was tending a weak calf. The wind hit like a runaway train. Tin roofing tore loose boards, screaming as they split. I shoved Anna toward the cellar just as a heavy beam ripped free overhead. It slammed into my shoulders and drove me down hard, the breath blasted clean out of me. I heard Anna scream my name through dust and blood. She dropped beside me, terror written plain on her face. For a heartbeat, I thought that was it. Help, she shouted at the men gathering nearby. Help now. Fear thickened her accent, but her voice cracked, sharp as a whip. The hands hesitated, looking between her and each other, waiting. Then something changed. They stopped looking for the foreman. All eyes went to her. Get boards from the house, she ordered. Make a stretcher. Move. She was scared stiff, but she sounded like a trail boss calling a drive. Hank Dobbs growled. You heard her. Move. And they did. Right then, she wasn't an outsider anymore. She was the woman who stood with me, and that put her in charge. 3 days later, I blinked awake with Dr. Amos Reed setting up beside the bed. The first thing I saw was Anna, worn, thin eyes red, smiling through tears. You're awake, she whispered, reaching for my hand. The ranch is fine. I took care of everything. The cattle are safe. The barn needs a new roof, but the boys are fixing it." She managed a tired grin. "Hank says I boss better than you." I tried to laugh. It came out sharp as pain split my skull. "How long?" 3 days, the doctor said. "Bad knock to the head. You'll stay in town a week." I squeezed Anna's hand with both of mine. "I need to say something." "What, marry me?" She blinked. "Your head is hurt. Clearer than it's ever been," I said, teeth clenched against the ache. "Anna Reed be my wife. Soon as we get papers signed by a judge. Today. This week. Let them talk," I added. "Let them talk all they want. We'd already fed the gossip mill more than enough. Might as well give it a full banquet." She searched my face for doubt, for fevered madness. She found none, only love. Her tears came faster. "Yes," she whispered. "Yes, I will marry you." We were wed the very next day in Judge Walter Knox's chambers, the same stiff-backed man who'd tried to force me to send Anna away just months before. The irony wasn't lost on a single soul in the room. Anna stood there in her green barn dance dress. I wore my Sunday best, a bandage wrapped around my head, like I'd just come off a battlefield. We looked worn down and blessed all at once, storm survivors in every meaning of the word. Spring came hard and fast in Wyoming, 1890. Anna Turner, my wife, now leaned against the freshly painted porch rail, one hand resting over the swell of her belly, watching me break young colts in the corral. Her bakery opened in Sheridan 3 months after the vows. The Sheridan townfolk sniffed at first, some foreign woman's shop, they said. But pies and bread speak louder than prejudice ever could. Empty stomachs have a way of killing snobbery. Before long, folks were coming in from 3 counties over. Hell, even Margaret Crow was heard admitting it was the best apple pie this side of the Big Muddy. I was 53 by then, gray cutting through my hair. But I felt younger than I had at 40. Anna gave back something I thought had been buried with Ruth Turner, that hunger for life itself. Love doesn't conquer a damn thing. What it does is hand you a reason worth fighting for when the whole world lines up against you. And if fortune smiles, and you've got the grit to reach for it through all the shouting, it might give you more than you ever thought possible. Watching Anna now round with our child, running her bakery, earning quiet nods from the same people who once looked down on her, my mind drifts back to that midnight kitchen. Flour in her hair. Sorrow worked out through dough. We were ghosts then, haunted by what we'd lost. Not anymore. Here's what I learned. Friend life's real gold is buried in the very thing that scares you most. Let it pass you by and you'll chew on what if until they put you in the ground. I chose love. I chose Anna. And I'd choose her again 1,000 times over, cost be damned. So tell me, what would you have chosen? Finally, let me send my deep thanks to you. Thank you for listening. If this story has touched your heart, I invite you to stay with us to discover more true tales of the Wild West. Stories that honor resilience, tenderness, and the spirit that God placed in those who blazed the trail. Subscribe, share. Leave your thoughts in the comments and join us once again to journey across this untamed land. Thank you. Aviso Legal/Disclaimer. These stories are crafted purely for entertainment and may contain imaginative additions or dramatic interpretations inspired by old frontier eras. We use AI-based resources, voice imagery, and drafting as part of our creative process, but every final detail is carefully reviewed and shaped by human effort to preserve emotional depth and authenticity. We strictly follow YouTube's rules regarding AI-generated content and refrain from deepfakes, altered identities, or misleading representations. All images, sounds, and related materials are lawfully obtained. Please do not reuse, modify, or distribute any portion of this content without written permission. Thank you for valuing creativity, respect, and original work.